Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to install a radiator hose. Let's say you're driving down the road and your car starts to run hot and you have steam blowing out from under the hood. First thing to do is do not immediately open the hood until that steam and stuff settles. Feel the top of it if it's real hot. If you just immediately open it, that steam's just going to rush your hands, rush your face. Leave it be. You can pop the latch from inside and let it do its pop up a little bit to allow it to open the fuzz an inch or so to let some of that steam out. And then once it settles and cools down, then you can open the hood the rest of the way. And I'm going to show you how to fix the radiator hose that will get you home. It won't fix it forever, but it will at least get you home. And then I'll show you how to install a new one here. Okay, so the first thing you want to look for is this radiator cap. This is your radiator, and you'll see your coolant reservoir, which is what you normally would put coolant in for most people. If you're not exactly sure where the radiator hoses are and whatnot, you can run down your coolant reservoir here, this tank. It'll look like the windshield wiper ones, but it'll say coolant. Follow that hose, it'll go to the radiator. If you don't have a radiator cap, that's very visible. Okay, all radiators will have a hose, this one here, which is more than likely going to be where the water, if the hose is busted. It will run from the top of the radiator to the top of the engine bay here, which is also where your thermostat's at. You can pull this hose off and the thermostat will be there. You're going to have two different types of clamps around the hose, here and here, securing it. You're going to either have this type of clamp that you can use to a flathead, or you can use a penny if you're on the side of the road. You can use a penny, a knife, anything that will fit in that wedge to turn here. And as you turn it to the left, it will loosen this from around the hose. And once it's gotten loose around it, you can pull the hose off. If you have one that looks more like this here, you'll take a set of pliers, or if you have some in the car, you can squeeze it and it will open it, and then pull it off of the hose back or forward, just enough so that you get it off of this placement here so that you can pull the hose off. Okay, this hose busted on me yesterday in this bend here. So what I've done is, while I was on the side of the road, I always keep some duct tape in the car. I keep a roll of duct tape, a roll of Gorilla Tape. You won't use what you have. But if you have the option, the best tape possible obviously is the best scenario. When you're rolling this around, you want to make sure you get it as tight around as you can, and try to kind of pinch the hole, wherever the hole is in the hose, try to pinch it closed. That way that hot water isn't making contact with the tape as much as possible. So wrap it as tight as you can with as many wrinkles out of it as possible. Most of the time you'll have to wrap it one way into the bend because the tape doesn't do well around the corner, and then wrap it the other way back into it, and that'll help kind of secure it. I've used two different types of tape here. I use Gorilla Tape, which is fairly expensive, but it's really good duct tape. You can't see it because I sealed it back over with this regular 3M duct tape, but I used the Gorilla Tape first and went around it real good. And you don't want to wrap just where the bend is, just where the cut is. You want to go a couple inches at minimum past it on each side to make sure that you get a good fitment seal around each side of the cut. If you just cut right where the seal's at, or right where the cut's at in the hose, it's going to get that tape wet and it's just going to blow it out, and it ain't going to do you no good. So you want to go on past the cut in the hose, or pinhole, whatever it may be. It's usually in these bends here from over time of being in a bend being used, especially if it's been taken off a few times. So if you can't get in here, you know, to wrap this with tape, you can take it off. take one of your clamps off. 9 out of 10 times it's going to be this type of clamp. And then you can just pull the hose off here. Pull it up, and that'll give you access to it better to tape. Okay? So, once you get that real good and sealed, if you've got super glue, anything you've got to try and seal that hole up. If you've got some super glue in the car, fill the gap, pinch it closed and fill it up with super glue, and then tape it. Whatever you've got to try and seal it up, okay? Then once you get it sealed up, put it back on. Take your clamp. I'm using a drill here just because it's handy. But you use a flathead, you can use a penny. You got a penny in your pocket or a dime in your pocket. Most of the time I don't take these all the way off like that. I just slide them on and off. Of course, if you got tools handy, this is the best way to go quickly. Alright, and then that'll just tighten up there. You want to loosen it up, you can just use a penny, anything that you've got handy to slide in that flathead spot there and spin it. Okay, so now we're going to take this off. This one I've gotten myself home. The duct tape job got me home, and that's what I needed it to do. Alright, so we'll take our clamps off there, take it off here. I already took that clamp off. Alright, this thing's no good. It's got a big cut in it all the way down through here. Actually, it was already there, and I bought the car and didn't notice it. Someone had took a piece of PVC pipe, put a piece of PVC pipe on the inside to help seal where the cut was. So they put a piece of PVC, slipped a piece of PVC in here. You can see it there. Which what that does is it gives it something to seal all the way around where the cut is. And then they took clamps and pinched it shut around it, which sealed it off where the cut was. Which was a great idea, but they should have changed the hose when they got home. But you work with what you got, with money you got at the time. So that's something you can do if you don't have the 20 bucks to go get a new hose. You can take a piece of plastic PVC, cut it, put it down in there to wherever the cut is, so that that PVC is in there on the inside like this far, and the cut's here. And then put you a couple clamps around it, and that'll secure that cut, and the PVC pipe will act as an inside bandage. It'll get the job done. Alright, here's our new hose. Clamps, got some new clamps for it because I do not like these right here. They're a real pain in the tail. You got to pinch them with pliers, and then they end up splinging and flying everywhere. So I got these right here for like $1 while I was getting the hose. Slide it on there to the top of the engine where the thermostat is. Oh, let's take this back off real quick. Go ahead and slide this on. Now when you put these on, you want to kind of be mindful of where your placement is. You don't want to stick this thing on there backwards and upside down like it's here, where you can't get to it once it's on there. So you want to kind of keep that in mind when you're putting it on. So we'll just put it like that for right now. Slide her on. Alright. Hold it in place. Like I said, you can use anything. A dime, a penny, flathead screwdriver, whatever you got handy. I'm going to use a drill just because I'm at home and it's quick and easy. But you can use a penny right there if you got to. Like I said 10 times now. Whatever you got handy. I'm going to turn this way. The reason I'm doing that is because of this tail right here. I don't want it sticking up and me catching my arm on it later, fooling with something. So I'm going to turn it on over so that tail's pointing down, and I can still access this here very easily with a socket and a wrench, a flathead, or a penny, as I said. Whatever you got to use, man. Use what you got. All right. Good and tight. Alright, we want to make sure that thing's on there good. You can see that little seal there, so what we'll do is lay it there for the time being. Get this in place, and I'll make sure it's on there like that. Here, I'll probably just go ahead and put this on, get it halfway tightened. That way it's not moving around on me and it's where I want it to be. I'm not so much worried about this tail sticking up because of where it's at. It's not like, you know, the biggest problem, and it doesn't give me much room to get to it with other stuff. So now I've got it on there where it'll hold. I'll kick that on there a little tighter and actually tighten it up. All right. For good measure. Okay. So now you probably lost the water when you had the blowout, or when you took this hose off, it was probably filled with some water. So don't think that you can fill this reservoir up, and when this reservoir is filled that you're good. That's not the case, because it'll just fill up this tank and that's it. You want to open the radiator here with the radiator cap. Now, do not open this when the car is hot. Like if it's been running and you just got off the side of the road, do not open this thing. For one, this cap's metal. It's gonna be hot as hell anyway. Burn your hand. But even if it's touchable, if you take this thing off after it's been running and it's still warm, that water in there is still boiling hot. It's gonna steam out of that sucker the second you let this thing loose. It's gonna steam out from around that cap and burn you good. Don't do it. If you're just absolutely in the moment, stuck, gotta go, gun to your head, you can grab some old clothes out of the car, you know, towels, whatever you got, and lay it over the cap everywhere you got here. And if you can push over your thing and turn it, okay, I've done it before, but I do not advise it. Don't do it. If you can, there's 9 times you ain't got to get that gun to your head, so just don't do it. Alright, so now you got your cap off. It's not spewing water. You can hear it gurgling most of the time. If it's still gurgling, it's hot enough, it's still boiling, that the water you put in there is going to get hot, and it's going to gurgle and boil and have air pockets in it and boil back out too. You want to try to wait to do that. Alright, fill your radiator back up, and once you fill the radiator back up, now you want to keep filling this up until it backfills, okay? Don't just put so much in there until you think it's good, or until this reservoir fills up. That ain't no good. You want to fill this radiator up itself until the water's not gurgling, because if it is, and it's gurgling out, that means it's just hot and boiling, and it's not enough water in there still. It's just boiling out. Once it's nice and calm, not gurgling, not boiling, and you're putting water in there and it's backing out, then you're good, you're full. So you can put this back in there, and see, that right there might even be a problem. Probably is. I'm just going to peel it off before it gets stuck down in my radiator. Alright. And these caps can be real tricky. A radiator cap, it's got a certain spot that it will and won't go on. There's little tabs here that you'll have to look at, get just right, and you got to push it down. It don't just screw on, okay? It'll feel like it's locked. You got to push it down, get it just right, and turn it. And until you do that right, if it feels like it's on there sideways or something, don't try to just let it be, because if you do, that water's going to get out, and it ain't you didn't do yourself no favors here. You're going to be right in the back of the situation you started in. This has to be on there correct. When you take it off, put it back on. So make sure that you're able to push it down, so it'll have some sponge to it. So when you go to take it off, you'll feel it. It'll actually sponge up. But you got to push it down in that spongy spot. Match them tabs there. Make sure them tabs, and see, if I put it right here, it won't, it's just funky. You get them tabs just right, and it'll be level. You can feel it push down. See? And once you've pushed down, them tabs will go around it and turn, okay? Them tabs grab around and turn once you push it down, but the tabs got to be in the right spot to push down around it and turn and grab. Otherwise, them tabs are like this, and it don't catch. Okay? Alright, so that should do it. This is repair your radiator hose on the side of the road, get you home, install a new one once you're at the house. You guys, if you feel like this helped, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. You know, these videos are my life. Corey Gets Funky. I keep it funky at all times. All these videos are do-it-yourself videos, my real estate videos where I buy and flip homes, my slingshot rental business. I teach about how to repair credit. I teach about how to build credit, how to get business loans, business credit, repair bad credit, you know, everything in the day of the life of. Giving slingshots hell, renting them out, ways to make money, side hustles, buying and flipping houses, fixing houses, things that, you know, teaching you how to do things that you can do on your own instead of paying someone else, fixing cars. You know, I love cars. I have a huge collection of them. If you've seen some of the videos, you've seen my barn, you know what what the things I enjoy. So if it's something you enjoy watching, learning different things, just subscribe, man, and check it out. Corey Gets Funky.